Welcome to our channel. In legends from around the world, mythical creatures emerge as a fascinating and diverse set of mythological figures. Some are described as terrifying, while others appear bizarre, and many exhibit features that, at first glance, resemble those of humans. Lately, a special place in the interest of cryptozoologists has been reserved for mysterious creatures with human-like traits. These beings raise questions about their existence and origin. Speculation suggests that, due to their intelligence, they might be able to conceal their existence from civilization. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and without further delay, let's get started. In the countries of South America, numerous stories circulate about mysterious creatures, including several that resemble humans. One of the most famous is the Boraro, a spooky entity that has been discussed in Colombia and Brazil since the 19th century. Unlike Bigfoot, Boraro is not stocky. Instead, it is described as a tall, slender figure standing on strong legs. Its entire body is said to be covered in black fur, with prominent features such as large forward-facing ears and a mouth full of sharp teeth. Some versions of the legend also speak of enormous genitals, and it is rumored that the creature's legs lack joints. Fantastic tales further embellish rumors of poisonous urine, which Boraro supposedly uses to hunt its victims, and a grip so crushing that a human skull would crack like a nut under it. Allegedly, Boraro delights in human flesh, with the brain being its greatest delicacy. In this case as well, researchers assume that the described monster is more likely an expression of centuries evolving folklore rather than a reflection of reality. However, this doesn't rule out the possibility of a real creature behind these stories. Since the 19th century, there has been a growing number of people claiming to have encountered Boraro in the South American jungle. Some say they witnessed their companions driven to madness, while others saw the creature fleeing. It is generally believed that Boraro is simply the Colombian version of the Brazilian cryptid known as Curupira. Many cryptozoologists speculate that both creatures might be based on observations of an unknown and possibly extinct species of monkey. Perhaps it could be a species related to the capuchin monkey, known to use its urine for marking itself and its surroundings. Could there have once been a larger and more aggressive variant of this otherwise ordinary monkey living in the South American jungle? While some mythical beings from impenetrable forests, towering cliffs, or deep lakes only vaguely resemble humans, Ebu Gogo, talked about by people on the Indonesian islands of Flores, is said to be much closer to humans. Indeed, its appearance is reminiscent of prehistoric humans, about 1.5 meters tall, a wide and flat nose, a face with large mouths, and a body covered in dark hair. Additionally, it is said to possess intelligence higher than that observed in chimpanzees. Many skeptics argue that reported sightings of these creatures are simply encounters with some lesser-known species of monkeys. However, this notion is contradicted not only by the opinions of the majority of local inhabitants, but also by claims from some cryptozoologists. They point out that stories of wild monkey-like people were known on the islands even before the arrival of Europeans in the 17th century. And after the first Portuguese trading ship arrived, such stories only increased. In this case, there are no reports of attacks or other aggressiveness. Ebu Gogo is believed to be a cautious and shy creature that avoids any contact with humans. Unfortunately, humans did not avoid contact with it, and according to some theories, it was exterminated in the 18th century. There is even a story of villagers exterminating a cave with the last surviving Ebu Gogo. Only individuals are said to have escaped, and according to some theories, their descendants survive deep in the wilderness to this day. That it might not be just a fictional story is suggested by some scientists, such as Canadian ethnologist Gregory Forth, who classified this species as one of the blind evolutionary branches of humans and called it Homo floresiensis. However, he doubts that its representatives have survived on the islands to this day. Could the wild people of the Indonesian islands be more resilient than we think? It's a warm August day, and on the beach of Canada's Thetis Lake, two teenage boys are preparing to enter the water. As they start to undress, one of them suddenly screams in horror. Emerging from the water is a terrifying creature resembling a cross between a human and a bizarre lizard. Its smooth skin is covered in sharp protrusions, and small spiky fins grow from its hands, feet, and head. Yellow eyes are positioned above a mouth pulled into a narrow grin, and a limb with 3 round fingers stretches forward like a paw. The boys are on the verge of panic. They grab their clothes and sprint as far away as possible from this dreadful figure. They report their experience to the police, and even the Canadian Mounted Police take charge of the case, meticulously interviewing both witnesses. The boys seem sincere, and until we decide otherwise, we have no choice but to continue the investigation, states one of the police officers in a report. Has anyone else seen the lizard man from the lake? Is it still there? This incident dates back to 1972, and it's not the last one. A few days later, completely different, and this time, adult men come to the police, claiming they also saw the frightening lizard. They describe its head as triangular and its skin as silver blue. Despite searches around the lake, no discovery is made. The case is closed, suggesting the witnesses probably only saw a large lizard. And later information even suggests that 2 of these 4 witnesses fabricated the entire story. However, the mystery lives on. Although there are no more straightforward testimonies, from time to time, people claim to have seen something strange in the lake. The latest report was in 2011 when an odd creature allegedly attacked Jesse Martin's car near the lake. He didn't see the figure clearly, but the marks on the car shocked him. 5 scratches with spots of fish scales scattered all around, he described. Could someone have shot him? Or does a creature with a lizard-like face hide in the Canadian lake? Another creature is Tokoloshe. The mischievous goblin-like creature originates from South Africa. The primary narrators of stories about this creature are the Zulu people, a substantial African ethnic group that still inhabits many areas, especially in the Republic of South Africa. In their legends, one can find tales of a small and frightening being known as the Tokoloshe. What makes it interesting is that the stories about it go beyond typical folklore. Even today, many people claim to have seen this South African goblin or know someone who has had an encounter with it. Descriptions of its appearance, however, vary considerably. Most people describe it as a small fur-covered creature, resembling a cross between a human and an orangutan, or another distinct-looking monkey. Some attribute an even more eerie appearance to it, claiming it resembles goblins depicted in various fantasy works. Nevertheless, all agree that the Tokoloshe is a crafty, malicious, and highly dangerous creature. What misdeeds is it said to be responsible for? Most commonly, these creatures are discussed in connection with people who died under unclear circumstances during sleep. Tokoloshe is said to primarily target sleeping children, occasionally choosing adults as well. At one point, the fear of its attacks was so strong that people in South Africa began elevating their beds using bricks and stones to prevent the malicious creature from reaching them. Many believed that, rather than being a mere animal, Tokoloshe was a demon or malevolent spirit sent by an evil sorcerer, and only a shaman could ward it off. Contrary to these beliefs, cryptozoologists suggest that the stories about the African goblin are more likely linked to attacks by ordinary animals. Historians and other scholars studying African legends have another hypothesis. According to them, the majority of the mentioned deaths were caused by carbon monoxide released from fires burning in indigenous dwellings during the night. However, the local inhabitants were unaware of this danger, associating everything with ancient tales of a nocturnal demon. Does the belief in the South African goblin have a straightforward explanation? Yet, how to explain the hundreds of people who claim to have seen the creature with their own eyes? Another creature is Bullebak. The Amsterdam waterman is a terror to children, described as a monster with human features appearing near bridges. While creatures similar to Bigfoot are generally described similarly, in the case of the Dutch Bullebak, it's different. Almost every person claiming to have seen this Amsterdam waterman has described it slightly differently, leading many researchers to be skeptical about its existence. However, this doesn't bother the Dutch, especially those from the capital. At one point, belief in the existence of Bullebak was so strong that the city officials even named 2 bridges after it. This peculiar creature is said to linger near these bridges. Most often, it is described as a strange mix of human, reptilian, and fish features. It is believed to be highly adept in water, but if necessary, it can venture onto the shore, where it seeks out solitary children and drags them into the cold depths of Amsterdam's canals. While for the majority of the Dutch, Bullebak is merely a bogeyman meant to deter children from dangerous behavior or mischief. Some believe that all these mysterious stories have real roots. In ancient times, Bullebak might have been a large fish, or even a prehistoric reptile. In 1764, near Maastricht, remains of a terrifying-looking mosasaur, a marine lizard with enormous teeth that lived in the area tens of millions of years ago, were discovered. Could this creature be behind the frightening tales of Bullebak? There is another possibility at play. Supernatural enthusiasts suggest that Bullebak could be a ghost. Some witnesses depict it as a demonic figure with a large hook, often standing directly on Amsterdam's bridges. Could it be the spirit of a sailor seeking revenge for their death, as some speculations suggest? The large, hairy, two-legged creature known as Bigfoot from the Arizona wilderness is undoubtedly one of the most famous and currently most frequently observed cryptids. Interestingly, many American states have their own versions of this mythical creature, with one of the most renowned being the Mogollon of Arizona. This solitary being stands over 2 meters tall and is covered in long, dense, reddish-brown fur. Its manifestations vary, often being spotted in the distance, crossing a meadow, or standing under a tree. More commonly, only its tracks are found, footprints that, apart from size, do not differ significantly from human ones. Witnesses occasionally speak of additional aspects accompanying it, notably a pungent odor resembling peat or the deafening roars and howls that the Mogollon emits at certain moments. There have been dozens of reported sightings of the Mogollon, with a majority coming from the rim area, where extensive logging has been taking place for decades. In the 1940s, a 13-year-old scout named Don Davis saw the monster just a few feet away. Standing less than 4 feet in front of me was a man-like monster. The creature was enormous, with eyes set deep into its forehead, a massive chest, and upper arms, Davis later described. This experience led him to become a cryptozoologist, dedicated to investigating mysterious creatures. Similar incidents continue to be reported in this millennium. In 2006, Marjorie Grimes, a resident of the local Indian reservation, spoke about her experience. She claimed not only to have seen the Mogollon but also many other descendants of the original inhabitants did. Local police officers also confirm these reports, considering them often to be credible testimonies. Despite these accounts, is it possible for such a large creature to still elude capture? Another creature is Gruagach, known locally as the Sprite from fairy tales, or a wild creature from the woods. Allegedly, it is a furry goblin resembling a dark brown monkey. Stories featuring mischievous sprites, or small cunning spirits, are incredibly popular in Scotland and Ireland. However, the perception of these creatures is gradually changing. While just a few centuries ago, Scots considered them supernatural beings coming from another world, or originating from impure magic. In recent decades, many cryptozoologists have focused on them. Especially the Irish creature called Gruagach is no longer considered just a local variant of so-called brownies, hairy domestic elves who steal cookies and tie shoelaces. Many testimonies from past centuries describe Gruagachs as larger beings, appearing primarily near caves and smaller watercourses. Thick, dark brown fur, longer on the head and resembling hair, 2 hands and 2 legs with an upright posture, similar to stories about the mentioned Bigfoot. These are the most common descriptions of Gruagachs. American paranormal investigator Nick Redfern adds an observation that many people specifically mention the faces of these creatures, which are supposedly almost human with prominent brow ridges, similar to Bigfoot. There are very few modern sightings, according to Redfern, but they do exist. For example, in 1997, 2 men spotted strange creatures in the Ballyboli forest. When they fled, one of the men reported seeing 4 humanoid figures standing in the distance, says Redfern. A year later, an older woman walking her dog in the same forest saw a creature resembling a chimpanzee, and similar experiences are reported by people from another mysterious forest named Slevenora. Does Ireland finally have its own forest monster? That's all from us for today. If you're interested in videos filled with mysterious mysteries, dark stories, legends, or monsters, and you crave more, subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any new videos.